It's back in Genesis chapter 4. We see competition between two brothers. Cain and Abel have both brought offerings to God, and Abel's offering is a true sacrifice. It's one that says, I trust you, Lord, I'm going to give you more. And I trust that, me giving you more, in the end, you'll be blessed, and that's more important than anything else. Whereas Cain, he just brings a offering. It's not really much of a sacrifice. And so Cain, rather than being inspired by what his brother does, rather than looking at what his brother is doing in his offering and thinking, well, I need to offer something like that. I need to give a more true sacrifice, like my brother Abel. Rather than being encouraged to seek God more, Cain takes it personal. He wants to be greater. He wants to outdo his brother. He's angry because his offering isn't as great, and so he looks down upon his brother. His face is downcast. And we know that God, he doesn't want us to be seeking this idea that we need to be better, that we need to keep up with the Joneses, that in this dog-eat-dog world that we need to be the survival of the fittest, that we need to be greater than our neighbor. In fact, in the commandments, he tells us not to covet what our neighbor has, not to look at our neighbor with jealousy, not to look at our neighbor like, how am I going to have a nicer car than them? How am I going to have a nicer house? We need to invite them over so they can see what we have and we can compare apples and oranges. God doesn't want us to be like this. He doesn't want us to compare our offerings and think to ourselves, well, is mine greater than his? He wants us to inspire, encourage, and spur each other on to live lives that glorify him, lives that sacrifice for him. And so we see Cain, he's totally missed the point. Jesus doesn't want us to think about how we can be greater than our neighbor. Jesus says it's the meek that will inherit the earth, the last that will be first, and the first will be last. We're not in competition with each other. We're called to spur each other on in our faith of God.